Hey, this is Timmara, signing on with probably the final part of Bioshock Infinite. She's looking concerned. I feel ya. Okay, so, last time, after trying to get around, we had a talk with Elizabeth from the future, supposedly, or at least another timeline. And I was just thinking. Anyways, we had an interaction with a different Elizabeth who gave us warning that, bad things were going to happen. We eventually saved our timeline, Elizabeth, met up with Comstock on his blimp, or his Zeppelin. Is that even really? Well, his airship, whatever. We met up with Comstock, killed Comstock, and now we're trying to destroy the siphon that's in the tower and possibly put everything to an end. So, take the Whistler, let's summon Songbird, and end this. The bird or the cage? I'd like to think we're gonna set our little bird free someday. Jesus Christ.
Where is he? Where is he?
What are you doing?
It's okay. It's all right. I'm here. Just let go. There you go. There you go.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry.
We're in Rapture. Was that really necessary?
What is this place? Elizabeth?
It's a doorway. One of many. This way.
What do you mean it's a doorway? Where are you going?
Oh, come on. Yes, it's this way.
What Comstock said about your finger. Is there an answer here? Do you...
Down here.
Hold on a second. We're in Rapture. Seems a little... Okay.
Over here, Booker.
I'm just looking. Can't pick through trash cans now. So, let's follow this down. This is obviously post-collapse, but how far post? Ryan doesn't own us. Yeah, this is definitely... All passport travel is now denied.
This is where we have to go.
Why? What is going on? Elizabeth, what do you mean this is a doorway?
I'll have to show you.
Okay. I'm in.
Probably gonna regret this.
Too late. So, I was wondering if these Columbia and Rapture technically existed in the same world? Or if it was just like an alternate timeline.
City at the bottom of the ocean. Ridiculous.
We just came from one in the sky. It's not that far-fetched, comparatively. So, I know there's a DLC that takes place in Rapture, but I have no idea what the content or the context is. But I'll follow along for this ride. The lighthouse. The same lighthouse, I just realized.
Thousands of doors. Opening all at once. My God, they're beautiful.
The stars.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me that this could possibly be... Well, no, is that... Yeah, this might be the same lighthouse.
Come on, it's this way. Come on.
This actually looks really good. Yeah, it never occurred to me
You
that
going to open it?
the lighthouse
So
at the
good.
beginning of the game is the exact same
I
one.
thought once we were here, I could fully control it. I thought
What is that?
it's a key.
Oh,
Where did it come from?
It's always been there. I just couldn't see it.
clip through her.
See?
Oh,
Not stars. They're doors
Doors to...
to everywhere. All that's left is the choosing.
there's a lot of things to choose. Okay, so maybe... wait a minute. So could Columbia be... Okay, let's follow this ride for a
What are
little bit
all these
longer.
lighthouses? Why are we... Who are...
There are a million worlds. All different, all similar. Constants and variables.
What?
There's always a lighthouse. There's always a man. There's always a city.
How do you know this?
I can see them through the doors. You, me, Columbia, Songbird. Sometimes, something's different, yet the same.
Constants and variables.
Yes.
So what does it... Hey, guys.
It's us.
Not exactly. We swim in different oceans but land on the same shore. It always starts with a lighthouse.
I don't understand.
We don't need to. It'll happen all the same.
Why?
Because it does. Yes, it has. Yes, it will.
There's so many choices.
They all lead us to the same place. Where it started.
No one tells me where to go.
Booker. You've already been.
Okay. So, yeah, this is getting weirdly complicated and metaphysical, but okay, I'll follow this train. This is a cool perspective, though. I don't think it matters where we go, but...
Wait a minute. I know this place. I was here. It was 20 years ago, right after Wounded Knee. I was looking for... It's...
Come on now, time's a-wasting.
Why were you here?
looking for
Are you ready
something
have
to
your
absolve our
past
sins.
erased? Are you ready to have your sins cleansed? Are you ready to be born again? Take my hand.
No, I don't want to.
You already did, didn't you?
This was him trying to spiritually, like,
Are you
Yeah,
ready to
clean
be
himself.
born again?
I am.
Do you hate your sins?
I do.
Do you hate your wickedness?
Yes.
Do you want to clean the slate, leave behind all you were before, and be born again in the blood of the
Yes.
Lamb? Jesus, wash this man clean. Father, make him
Stop
born
it.
again. Lord,
Stop it.
what are you doing to it?
Get off me! Get off!
Son!
You didn't go through with it.
Think a dunk in the river's gonna change the things I've done? Let's get out of here. I mean, these doors of yours, they're all tears, right? Well, open one up. Open one up to Paris. I want to be shut of all this.
Not until we find Comstock.
Comstock's dead!
No. He was here. This way.
I'm starting to develop a thought, but let's just keep going. I have a thought, but let's keep going.
And what of my bets?
Bring us the girl, and wipe away the debt.
This is the man who hired me to find you.
Really?
Yes. The girl for the debt.
That explains a lot. So, of course, it was them, but then why... Oh, Jesus Christ, no.
What is this? There's no baby. I remember. No, there was no baby, and if there was, I sure as hell wouldn't give it over to this guy.
Booker, you don't leave this room until you do.
Do it. Time is running short. Bring us the girl, and wipe away the debt.
Go ahead.
No.
You can wait as long as you want. Eventually, you'll give him what he wants.
How do you know all this?
I can see all the doors.
Oh.
And what's behind all the doors.
Wait.
And behind one of them, I see him.
Comstock.
So... Could... Okay,
What
hold on.
choice do I have?
The debt's paid.
So is that baby
Mr.
Elizabeth?
Comstock washes you of all
And
your
it's
sins.
Booker's?
Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt.
There was no baby. The deal was I go to Columbia to get you.
Booker, you're bleeding.
Oh. Remember. I remember that.
Now we've upset him.
I don't expect this next bit will do much for his mood.
Come on.
Okay, there's a lot going on. So... Okay. So...
What are we doing here? Comstock's dead. We can just go on with our lives. You don't need
Dead?
to...
You mean like Chen Lin? Like Lady Comstock? No. He is alive in a million worlds. It's not over because the Prophet is dead. It will only be over when he never even lived in the first place.
When I first saw the baby, I kind of had a worry of what we were going to have to do. And I feel like maybe we're going to do what I was worrying about.
Hey. Hey, the deal is off. You hear me?
Rather unstable.
The deal is off. Give her back. Give her back.
Fine, are you mad?
No, you will not get caught in between. Come!
It is uncomfortable enough as it is.
It's going to be more uncomfortable if you don't come now.
If I get caught, it's going to be a very long time before we see each other.
You will not get caught, I promise.
You can't promise me that.
Give her back, you son of a bitch.
It's ready. Go!
No. No, no, no.
Shut down the machine!
No.
Shut it
Anna!
down! Shut down the
Anna!
machine now! Do it!
Give me back my daughter! No!
So Elizabeth... Oh...
Anna.
Elizabeth is Anna.
No. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Anna, I'm sorry.
So he gave away his own daughter, and it went to Comstock, who, meeting up with the twins, figured out how to use the quantum particles and like split realities, whatever, and then... It's where we can interact with that from so long.
Anna's gone. You shared
Anna
this road
DeWitt.
with no regret for almost 20 years. Until one day, a man came to you, offered you a chance at redemption. A chance for us to live together.
I told you it would work.
We already know it works. The question is, will he?
Anna.
You suppose he branded himself as some sort of penance?
Sure.
Didn't see the point. What's done is done. What's done will be done. I suppose the brand is his hair shirt, as he is ours.
Okay.
Wipe away the debt. Wipe away the debt.
See? He's starting to put his story together.
What?
You're quite fond of this theory of yours.
He's manufacturing new memories from his old ones.
Well, the brain adapts.
I should know. I lived it.
Booker, wake up. Booker, wake up. This is where it started.
I sold you. I sold you.
To your credit, you did try to weasel out of the deal.
This is all Comstock's fault. What if I went back? Killed him before he did any of this?
Things get set in motion.
How would one know how far back to go?
That's the only way to do it. Go back to when he was born, and I'll smother the son of a bitch in his crib.
That's what I was worried about we'd have to do. Well, man chooses, a slave obeys, but we are nothing but a slave in the world of Bioshock. So this is going to be a rough interaction. So, but what confuses me is that, how did he... Let's just keep going. Maybe it'll come together. The thing that's confusing me right now is, like, how did he forget and come back to do this, unless it's just time rift, so maybe
Booker,
there's just a version of him that doesn't
are
know.
you sure this is what you want?
I have to. It's the only way to undo what I've done to you.
Booker DeWitt, are you ready to be
What is this?
born again?
Why are we back here?
This isn't the same place, Booker.
Of course it is. I remember when...
Are you ready to leave behind all
You're
that
not-
has gone before? Wipe the slate clean.
Who are
and
you?
start
You
anew.
chose to walk away, but in
the
other
blood
oceans,
of the
you
Lamb.
didn't. You took the
Do you
baptism.
hate your
You were
sin?
born again as a different man.
Do you hate your
It all
wickedness?
has to end. To have never started. Not just in this world, but in all of ours.
Smother him in the crib.
Smother, 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 smother. Before the choice is made. Before you are
And
reborn.
what name shall you take, my son?
He's Zachary Comstock. He's Booker DeWitt.
I knew it.
I'm both.
That's what I was thinking, is that maybe... Oh, Jesus Christ. And one remains. Okay, that was honestly the thought I had, was maybe DeWitt and Comstock were the same person. And saw the elephant, we got just a bunch of stuff. Okay, because my thought is, it was alternate timelines. Booker, okay, DeWitt, you know, owed money. So he sold his daughter. And in that regret, he either at some point met the twins and then made a deal with them to become... Okay, my thought is, okay, trying to figure out how to the best articulate all of this craziness. So... DeWitt, let's just skip ahead real quick, in case there's like a post-credit scene or something. That must be it. Okay, DeWitt sold his daughter, and either because of that, or maybe in spite of that, he met the twins, who with their, you know, quantum physics and all that, found a way to, you know, go to an alternate timeline. So, let's say the original DeWitt, you know, took his daughter back. And, again, this is weird, like, it's weird because it's just, like, creating multiple timelines. But, okay, let's say Booker won. Booker 1 sold his daughter, and then in regret either met the twins, and then, a version of met the twins or something, or figured out a way to, like, create a rift to take her back. He then went, taking the twins and trying to go through a rift to keep Elizabeth, or Anna, safe. DeWitt 2, if this is making sense, tried to stop him, and that equaled the finger loss. And then Booker in the original Booker, Booker 1 then went off to create Columbia to basically, like, make it into a gigantic city in order to keep Anna safe. And mainly from him. Because maybe multiple rifts started opening where he was trying to come through to get her back. This is really complicated, and I don't think I can explain this properly, because it works on such a web of... It's weird. It's really weird. It's really interesting, and I'm really on the fence if it actually all works. Tragically. Okay, let's... Yeah, that's my thought. That's my thought so far, is that Booker DeWitt sold his daughter. In regret, he met the twins or found some way to open a rift in order to, like, get her back. But, maybe knowing other versions of himself would come around to try and take her, that's where he went off to make Columbia with the help of the twins. And that brings up, unless, or alternate version of Booker grew up. Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. Nevertheless, yeah, Booker is Comstock. And that explains everything. And so, yeah, it's really weird trying to, like, figure out how to, like, explain this in a linear timeline, because it's literally anything but. But, okay, let's say Booker went to another dimension with Anna in tow. In order to protect her from other DeWitt or other Bookers, he created Columbia or the Tower, and kind of looks at... Anyways, he created the Tower and tried to keep her there, to keep her safe, and use the siphon to keep her from opening rifts that could bring in other Bookers. But the oldest Elizabeth that we saw eventually did, and say that brings in, like, Booker 2 or something. And it's all to try, and maybe she realizes it's all to end this cycle of just Booker trying and failing to protect Elizabeth or Anna, or trying to get him to stop. Because, well, then again, if Booker's dead, then that means Elizabeth wouldn't exist either, but also that would be a better fate for her than... all the hell she had to go through because of Booker. This is really weird. I'm genuinely trying my damnedest to explain what the hell just happened. It is really weird. Yeah, it is strange. I am very confused. Even though I kind of understand it, I just don't know how to explain it. It's so strange. So, yeah, I don't know. But, okay. Nevertheless, Booker is dead. Booker is responsible for everything that happened. And just like those alternate versions of Elizabeth had to put him down... Yeah, it's just really strange. I don't know really why I started this. I'm just like, I'm confused. Okay, let's backpedal a little bit. So that was Bioshock Infinite. How was it? It's really good. I don't know if it's my favorite. Like, okay, that's not to say it looks amazing, and this is like the graphical touched up version on PS4. It looks really, really good. The alternate history stuff is really interesting in what they do with it. Really playing up like the, old-fashioned ideas and Yeah, okay, I'm trying to think. Columbia is a very interesting town. It's like, yeah, it's kind of just like, it's like Rapture, but more sun and even more overtly racist. And they play that up a lot, and it's kind of effective when you really, like, dig down. And, disturbing in a lot of other parts. And also the way they play with, like, the religious imagery, really mixing in, like, the religious aspects, and then, like, deifying, American historical events and American leaders, and, like, truly going, like, the full, like, 9 yards with that, with the religious imagery and American imagery. And, it's disturbing, it's weird, it's scarily accurate, if we're being totally honest, especially as time goes on, and that's tragic. But it's very, it's a horror story because, how do I put this nicely? I can put this nicely. Anyways. But yeah, taking that religious imagery and mixing it with, like, American political imagery is very effective and really disturbing, because it just seems to get more accurate as time goes by, where, the overt racism and this idea that the founders were some kind of geniuses, and, the interpretation of their, what do you want to call it, ideals, being basically turned into holy scripture is such a mistake. But how they run within this and turn it into something that's so obviously wrong is interesting. And then gameplay is really good. I started, like, getting to a holding pattern and only using a couple of vigors, and the vigors are just basically plasmids, but they work, and they got some interesting, like, multi-use stuff right off the bat. It's not like in, say, Bioshock 2, which is, I really like it, but, once you get a vigor, you just have, like, most all the, like, alternate abilities you can do with a couple of upgrades that mainly just, like, increase, like, connections, or, increase, like, durability or validity or something, which is useful. But, yeah, it's just every vigor can do so many different things right away. Most of them set up traps, some of them have chain abilities, and they synchronize with each other really well. And then on top of that, yeah, and again, bucking Bronco, that one's amazing. I love that. Just, like, put everyone in zero, in stasis, and then just, like, skeet shoot. It's great. The, what is it called? The pull is really fun, too. Hold on. Since we got some time. Yeah, let's do Clash in the Clouds. I'm just gonna goof around for a second while I talk about my feelings. But, yeah, it's really interesting. And is that the girl in the bottom there? Is that actually... Okay. It's really weird. But, yeah, it's just like, the gameplay is really good. You can only hold, 2 weapons at a time, but, it's a mix and match of trying stuff. Then again, I hadn't picked up a pistol since basically when we started, but I kind of stuck to the shotgun and, rocket launcher, which even on medium, it wasn't a difficult game, not a bad thing, just pointing it out, and it was really fun to play, just like, I guess... The reason I stuck with the shotgun and the rocket launcher is because they were the best feeling weapons. Some of them were a little, like, not great. The heater was a cool shotgun, but maybe until I got that, increased reload speed, it didn't feel great to use. The minigun didn't feel super effective, and maybe that was just because of the difficulty, and so it just, like, was not working as well as I hoped. And... yeah, just like a mix of things. Some worked, some didn't. Oh. And yeah, but like the gameplay and otherwise is really cool because you can do stuff like this. Even though it's like really disorienting to use the skylines like this. It's really disorienting to use the skylines, but at the same time, it's so like cool and effective. There's so much mobility in just like this set of things. Opening up tears and rifts is really cool because it can create like whatever you need for a combat encounter, in the moment. You need cover, make cover. You need, like, backup covering fire, create the backup with the automatons and such. Need a new weapon, need, whatever you need, you can just summon it. And it's really cool, and it's a balance because you can only use one at a time. So it's a really cool, like, twist of abilities. And, between that, the weapons, the plasmids, and a very limited enemy type, really the, mainly, like, gunning grunts just got more redundant as time went on. And, they just got, like, harder to kill, which was a little annoying in some parts, especially, basically after you go into the second rift, where enemies are just... Yeah, where enemies, just like after the second rift, are just like so obnoxiously like hardy, and it's more a problem with right defeat waves. Yeah, then upgrade what you need, and yeah, a little horde mode, which I'm usually into horde modes. Don't know if I'll be super interested in this, but we'll see. Okay, it's just fun. And yeah, just a lot of really cool vigors. Some I didn't use as much. I really didn't even use possession. But it was still really cool and, very forgiving with death. And I wonder if that's... I don't think that's an option to shut off, but, made it simple to get, like, when you die, you just get right back into the game with very minimum, problems. Which, who knows? The way you interpret that, maybe that death is just, could just be another version of Booker going through and getting it right next time. I don't know. Could be really weird in that way. But yeah, gameplay is top-notch. Arguably, like, maybe the best in the series. Not necessarily even with the best weapons or even the best powers, but overall, well, probably the best powers. This was a lot of fun. Like, the different utility and, like, not so obvious use of some of the vigors, like Bucking Bronco just like makes enemies float, but it can cover a wide radius, or like pulling and pushing enemies away, is really cool, and, catching bullets in air eventually, which I didn't use enough of. And, you can find these vigors in multiple ways, and even if you miss them, you can just buy them. So, you are paid to get, it pays to explore. And I missed a bunch of audio logs. I thought I was being thorough. Maybe I missed some stuff. I did skip over some, what do you want to call them? Let me think. I did skip over some of the ciphers and a couple other things. But, yeah, it was interesting. And Booker, again, Booker's a little inconsistent sometimes, where he's just sort of like, it's like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm a nice guy. Oh, I'm a cold-hearted bastard, but I've got my soft side. Oh, like, we're going to take Comstock down. Oh, no, you can't do that. Let's just go. Oh, you're right. You should get your event. Yeah, it's just, he flip-flops a bit, so he's a bit inconsistent. But Elizabeth is a really good character. She's, fun. Again, I say she's like the rated M version of Disney's Tangled. She's Rapunzel, locked in the tower, and, once she gets out, she's just like, oh, it's fun, let's dance, and then, like, it gets serious, and it's just like, oh, jeez. And she needs to learn how to, like, use this magical powers that she's been locked up for. And, that can lead to some fun, like, little, like, references, like that one scene where it's just like, you're next to a rift where someone's playing Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and it's just like, oh, that's weird, you wouldn't expect that, but it's kind of cute. And lots of interesting stuff here. And just at the end, though, it just gets really metaphysical and gets really confusing. I bet if I had played this when it originally came out, I would have been lost. And I'm still lost now. And I like to think I'm, at least decent at interpreting, logic and plot twists these days. I'd like to think. I could be wrong. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's a weird game. Again, don't know if I would say it's my favorite in the series. I could see, I could see maybe at the time, while it was, like, crazily hailed, while it was, like, just talked up as, like, one of the best games ever. And there are aspects to that, depending on what you're looking for. It's more linear, I think, than the other Bioshock games. There's a little less freedom, and, a little more, like, railroading, but I don't think that's a bad thing. The linearity helps, like, tell this story and keep it on track. So, I say linearity, but it's, not a bad thing. It's just an observation. And with that, what else is there? It's just, yeah, I can see how it, it was, big at the time. And, there is some backlash to it now. Like, I've referenced him a bit during, my Bioshock 2 Let's Play, but a video done by Boulder Punch on YouTube, talking about, Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Minerva's Den. I think it was more, yeah, it was in 2 where he was talking about, there's, it's just, well, he left it vague, but, he said, Bioshock Infinite didn't exactly blow him away, or at least he had his opinions change on it, and that's a video for another day. I don't think he's done it yet, but I'll have to look into that. But I can see how maybe, you can look at this, if you look back on this, it's going to it's a bit, up itself, it's a little confusing for its own good. This definitely has, the air of, auteur, what do you want to call it? Auteur asinineness? Probably not a word, but yeah, it's got that idea of just an auteur's vision of just it's probably genius to him. To other people, it's just sort of can you explain this a little bit better, please? But that goes against the vision, probably. Anyways, but yeah, it's interesting. It's weird, and I did get into it. Honestly, okay, if I were to rank, and there is more still, let's not forget. There's also the Burial at Sea two-parter, which, yeah, I don't know what that necessarily adds, but we shall see. But, there's just more Bioshock to go, and I remember, the Burial at Sea DLC, I remember seeing in reviews and magazines and such was a little divisive, but maybe that will add some extra context that'll, clear up some things, maybe. Or maybe add just, another confusing layer to everything. I'm not sure yet, but we'll find out. But, it's almost tempting to say, maybe I'll hold off on my final thoughts until, the end of that. But I think we should, we're talking about the base game itself. And Burial at Sea came out much later. But, yeah, it's just weird. I don't know how else to, go about this, and I've got a lot more to say. Yeah, it's just strange. I don't know where else to go with this. I really don't. If I were to rank, the Bioshock games and, the way I've seen them, at least from when I played, Bioshock 1 would be at the bottom. Because, again, Bioshock 1 is still a really good game. It still holds up in a lot of regards. But, again, its biggest catches are, its opening and its twist. And that's kind of, its strongest features. And Bioshock 2 kind of, does those things a lot better, but that's another thing. But Bioshock 1 is definitely at the bottom. Bioshock 2 is probably my favorite of the Bioshock series so far. At least as of right now, because all the Bioshock is kind of still fresh in my mind. And what I will say, though, Bioshock Infinite does kind of, put to shame one of Bioshock 2's most interesting aspects, and that was, the religious allegory of, Sophia Lamb's project. She was trying to, make a messiah, with another young girl with dark hair. Now that I think about it, lots of similarities there. But, yeah, Infinite definitely did a lot more, and a lot more interesting, a lot more controversial stuff with the religious imagery in this than Bioshock 2 did. Again, Lamb was not necessarily a strong villain, especially compared to Ryan. And even Comstock, I don't know if necessarily, competes with Ryan just on pure, I guess you can just say on pure principle of it. Because Comstock is interesting. You see him as just, this religious figurehead that's done a lot of damage. But I suppose Ryan had more morals he stuck to at least. And Comstock being Booker, so that's the other complication, doesn't necessarily make it more interesting, it just makes it more complicated. I'm not sure. I'll have to do some reading, do some dissecting more, just off the top of my head, this is how I'm reading it, and it's really strange. But, okay, if I were to rank the Bioshock games, it's 1, Infinity, 2. Infinite, 2. Because 2, I still feel like had really good gameplay, really fun plasmids, a really fun, like, emotional core. And while Bioshock Infinite does, does really good with its emotional moments, it does, like, muddy the waters a little bit. And, I suppose a smarter man than me could probably appreciate that for more of it, but maybe I just need to think on it some more. Just, like, as it's presented to me now, with how I best can piece it together, it's weird. I keep repeating myself, like always, but even more so than usual, but that's just how it goes. So, yeah, what else is there to say? Bioshock Infinite, it still does hold up. And, there has been some favor in it has been dropping. Although, I hate to think that maybe some of that is just people who... How do I put this? I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. I have a feeling there's one part of the backlash to this could be... I'm trying to think of how to best put this nicely, but it's how it's going to come out. I have a feeling, I keep hesitating. It's just making it sound worse, and it makes me sound like I have less validity to what I'm going to say. I have a feeling, again, some of the reasons, like, at least from what I understand, Bioshock got its backlash, it's from, people realizing, like, oh, maybe it's not as smart as it thinks it is. Maybe, like, it's not as game-changing as it thinks it is. It's a little pretentious. But then I also have a feeling, like, people seeing, the... how do I put this? God, I keep drawing a blank because I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. Where people are seeing, like, the racism imagery... And I feel like there are some people who... I feel like for some people, especially like the hardcore gamers TM that like to say that Bioshock doesn't have any politics, probably think there's too much politics in Bioshock, especially Infinite, where they really lean in hard on the racism. And, because that's politics, now I don't like the game, is probably the thought of some people. And I do bet that is a mindset some people have, and I feel like that is definitely, at least that thought is not to be disregarded in terms of the kind of backlash Bioshock Infinite has gotten. I have a feeling that there are people like that, maybe not a majority, but there are certainly people that want to spread their BS and say, like, oh, Bioshock Infinite and Columbia shine a light on some really bad American racism, and people are upset that that light is being shown on too bright. It's literally out in the sun. And I'm babbling, but I do feel like, some less than progressive people do think that. I don't feel like I'm projecting, I just feel like that's another thing. Or, yeah. Anyways. Sorry, I'm babbling, and it's just going on too long. I've had that thought for a while, but now I don't know how, like, I'm tired, it's already almost midnight, and, yeah. Just, I'm so distracted by everything else. Yeah. Okay, I should probably wrap up. So, yeah, there's still Burial at Sea, and I'll get to that next, for sure, but as far as the base game of Bioshock Infinite goes, that is the end. It was very interesting. I'm very curious to see... Well, that's the other thing I'm worried about, too, is that this was the last Bioshock, what was this, 2011, or, no, 2012? I do not remember when this came out. Hold on, let me double check something real quick. I'm just double checking, 2013, early 2013. Actually, it's like 8-year anniversary in about 2 weeks, okay, or in about 10 days. But, so it's been out for 8 years, and this was also the last bit of Bioshock, the last main game, besides Burial at Sea, I digress. It's the last bit of game of Bioshock, or last game Bioshock has had in 8 years, and supposedly there's a new Bioshock game on the way, but with the way 2K has been the last couple of years, with controversy after controversy, with, the people in charge there, and, with the push for loot boxes and live services and a lot of other things, I don't have the confidence that maybe, like, a new Bioshock will be unsullied, you know? And even if it's not in terms of progression or monetization, what else is going to be lost in translation? And I don't know. It's just, I don't trust 2K these days to, like, make a quality product. Because even if they do, there's something that drags it down. And I'm just worried about what a new Bioshock could even be. Because it's probably not going to be anything like this. And if it is, it's going to be a miracle rather than, you know, an expectation. It's just, we'll see. We don't know no thought on what's going to possibly happen with a new Bioshock, if one even comes out. Could still be a long ways off, but, you know, I just don't have confidence in, like, 2K as a company, more because of the people in charge rather than the actual workers who have to deal with, you know, the boss's nonsense. It's just, we'll see. I don't know. It's just, I don't feel like, yeah, we'll see. I can only speculate so much, and again, I'm looking at this a pretty dour perspective, but you just don't know what's going to happen these days. Okay. I've been rambling on long enough, sorry. But, yeah, a very weird Bioshock game. It almost made me forget it was, like, even had the name Bioshock. It was kind of, like, very different in so many ways that, you know, I wouldn't go with that. I hate it when people say, like, oh, it's a good game, but it's not a good X game in this series, because that's just, like, really annoying and so unhelpful. And it just makes you... Yeah, anyways. So, no, it's a very interesting thing. Again, it's more like a alternate take on the Bioshock idea, where, yeah, it's just like same theme of, you know, Bioshock and a lot of its original ideas, and just goes in different directions with it, and yet still, like, comes in on itself, and I'm very confused by that. But I suppose we shall see what the future holds, and we'll see what Burial of Sea has to add to the story, if anything, and we'll get to that. Okay, I'm rambling on long enough, I'm tired. With that all being said, Bioshock Infinite, still really good. Still recommend it, and, you know, part of the Bioshock collection, you get it pretty cheap these days, and, yeah, really good. I did enjoy it. Got some questions, but I'll answer those maybe eventually. With that all being said, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe and all that. This is Timmara, signing off. And thank you for watching me play Bioshock Infinite.